I, 24 female, have two sets of twins. The first set are kindergarten-age boys, and the second set are toddler girls. My husband, 27, always complains that the house isn't up to his standards, and that it's a mess, or that I sometimes put on frozen meals instead of cooking a fresh dinner. It's super irritating because I'm expected to do everything just because I work from home. He thinks that I have it easier than his job, which is physical labor. I can never do anything because when he has time off, all he wants to do is sleep, and he says he needs it because he's exhausted from work or he wants to use his break to hang out with his friends. So basically all the chores are usually thrown on me, and I've had enough of it. And it showed when my friend called me to hang out, and when I asked my husband to watch them so I could go, he went into a rant about how he's tired and been working all week, and the least I could do is watch the children so that he could get some rest because I'm home all day with easy work. So I decided after I put the children to sleep that night, I decided to leave a note saying that I'll be out and just leave and have a night out with the girls, which turned into a weekend out with the girls. When morning time came, he was calling and texting me non-stop, and when I answered, he was yelling at me and cursing me out. When my friends overheard the conversation, they were shocked and hung up the phone for me and told me to mute it. I didn't have any plans to stay any longer than that night, but when my friends overheard how my husband spoke to me, they convinced me to stay and even told me that they'd take me out to eat and planned a whole day for me. When I got back, the place was a complete and utter mess, like a pile full of dishes and garbage all over the place, floors were sticky, and the place just smelled awful. My husband, of course, was angry and had a suitcase already packed. He barely said 2 words to me and just left and texted me, saying he would stay at his mom's. Now I feel horrible because clearly he couldn't handle taking care of the kids for this long by himself, and I feel like an idiot and don't want this to ruin my marriage. Do you all think I'm an idiot for the way I acted? What? Are you serious? Not the idiot. Your husband is a damn idiot to the 100th degree. Does he realize he has 4 children and is responsible for physically taking care of them and being financially responsible for them? Is he one of those men who think they don't have to contribute anything except money to the relationship and household? Because he sounds like a terrible partner and a pretty terrible dad too. I don't know if he's always been this way or if it's new, but you need to find a way to set him straight. I guess it's true when they say love is blind. OP, I'd recommend you pack 2 sets of suitcases and drop them and the kids off at his mom's too. If he expects you to clean the place, he needs to look after the kids and give you some additional free time too. It's not solely your job to raise your children. It's both of yours. If he can have time to hang out with friends, so can you. I don't know why people put up with crappy partners like this, but please realize your worth, because you deserve so much better than this BS. What is this, the 60s? Wait, no. Even my grandfather didn't do this. OP's husband belongs in the freaking Stone Age. I don't know what else to say. This is not a marriage, it's a joke. You have 5 kids. Good one of them went back to his mommy. Let him stay with her, and I strongly recommend a divorce. He's providing you with 0 support and then whining when asked to help at all, or when things aren't perfect. It doesn't matter if your job is easier or not. It's probably not easier, just different. He's not entitled to mooch off of you. Honey, forget this. You can do it on your own. This, OP, you'd be better off as a single mom. If you're divorced, you'll get child support and less cooking and mess to deal with. Have your friends help with the kids while he's away. Get into a lawyer, follow what the lawyer says to do, and get out of this situation. You deserve better. He can stay with his mommy and see how far she gets tired of cooking and cleaning for this boy. I'd be so embarrassed if my son were like this. So I, male 30, hate cutting grass. Hate it, hate it, hate it. The sound of the lawnmower makes me wish I could take my ears off like Mr. Potato Head and lock them in a box. It hurts my shoulder. I got injured in high school and it never healed right. And I might be the only person in the world who doesn't like the smell of cut grass and gasoline. This week was the very first week this year that I would need to cut the grass. We live in a fairly warm state and the HOA is very strict about it. We even have little flags at the front of the yard that the grass isn't allowed to get taller than. So the point is the lawn needs to be mowed. I don't want to do it. My wife can't because she tipped into a lake the last time she mowed a lawn. Just so happens that I know a guy who owns a goat, and I offered him $20 to bring it over to eat the grass for me. The goat eats the grass, we keep her away from the neighbours' yards, and the goat goes home. It was great, way better than mowing. My wife is mad because some neighbours saw the goat and think it's hysterical that we had a goat doing the yard work for us. She's angry that I made us look like weird hicks in front of her friends. I don't care if they think we're a little weird. I'm happy to be laughed at if it means saving myself from the headache-inducing sound of a lawnmower. But now she's making weird comments around the house about getting a horse to carry groceries or a chicken to clean the windows, since there's no man in the house who can. I didn't expect her to react so negatively to a goat, but maybe I'm missing something. So, was I an idiot? Edit. The goat doesn't violate HOA's BS policies. They have strict rules against raising farm animals, but if, say, the HOA's president's daughter wants a pony at her birthday party for a few hours, that's A-OK. Not the idiot. You picked the more environmentally friendly and adorable option. Your solution was brilliant. I also have sensory issues and can't cope with lawnmowers, and I'm going to go look for a damn goat. However, your wife needs to stop caring what the neighbours think, and maybe be less extra too. My wife would be thrilled at having a goat to mow the lawn once a week that she could go pet. His neighbours would probably be more interested in it when they found out how little he's paying to have it done. Anyway, why is no one commenting that his wife can't mow the lawn because the last time she did, she tipped into a lake? It's called weaponized incompetence. Usually this is a tactic where men pretend they can't do laundry or cook, but it's the other way around this time. I feel the neighbours must love watching all this, probably with popcorn. Right? It takes a special kind of stupid to tip a lawnmower into a lake. I don't think she gets a say in how the lawn gets mowed. OP, you are not the idiot and your wife is wrong anyway. It's not a hick thing. Entire businesses are built around renting goats for yard care, especially to clear out brush. It's quite trendy. Tell Mrs. that you're a step ahead with environmental awareness, or she can mow it herself, lake and all. I, female 37, have been dating Martin, 39, for a year and a half. I have a daughter, Scarlett, tween, and he has two daughters. Miley, young teen, and Joanna, older tween. I'm a single mother to Scarlett. Her father sends me monthly maintenance but has never been an active parent or met Scarlett. I also grew up in care, so I have no family or anything. Whereas Martin is divorced and shares custody with his ex-wife. Their custody agreement is very flexible, with the girls sometimes staying with him or their mom longer or often spending time with both parents together. It bothered me a lot that he was still good friends with his ex-wife. And Martin said if I couldn't handle the fact that he could co-parent well and be amicable with his ex, he would end things. I think I got over my jealousy and that the girl's mother and I get on. Anyway, since we've been dating a while and have started discussing potentially living together, I think it's only fair that Scarlett is more involved and treated the same as Martin's daughters by his parents. She met them for the first time a few months ago and has seen them a few times since, but she's treated virtually like a stranger. At Christmas, Miley and Joanna were spoilt rotten. They got money, gifts, toys, gift vouchers and makeup. All they got Scarlett was an embroidered blanket thing Martin's mother spent weeks knitting, apparently with her name on it, 2 gift vouchers and a doll. They'll take Martin's girls for overnight sleepovers, but my kid is excluded. They say it's because they don't know her well and are uncomfortable looking after her for now. They'll buy Joanna and Miley sweets or little trinkets and give them a couple of pounds occasionally, but as for Scarlett, they might only give her one thing and that's it. It's not fair for Scarlett. The last straw was when his parents asked if we would all like to go to Disneyland Paris with them. They offered to pay for Martin and the girls and said they could pay for part of my and Scarlett's travel expenses, but that I'd have to pay the rest. I lost it and told Martin he needed to tell his parents to treat Scarlett like his girls are treated. It's not fair to her that she has to watch her sisters being spoilt and she isn't. He lashed out in return and said his parents had been nothing but accommodating to Scarlett by including her in things and getting her stuff at Christmas and so on. He said I'm incredibly selfish to expect his parents to treat my daughter, who they barely know, like their grandchildren. He said that I was bitter and jealous and it wasn't like we were married or living together. He used the example of the blanket being a really sweet gift that shows how much his mother cares. He also said it's perfectly reasonable for his parents to expect me to pay for my own child to go to Disney and that my parents don't need to pay anything at all for us. He also said I'm raising my daughter not to learn the value of the word no and that she can just be expected to get whatever she wants. He also said that Joanna and Miley are not Scarlett's sisters. It's never been emphasized they were and they don't view Scarlett as that. He said that I needed to get my butt in gear and realize nothing is being done to discriminate against or exclude Scarlett. Am I the idiot? Edit. I view Joanna and Miley as bonus daughters, so Scarlett calls them her sisters. Joanna and Miley don't view me as a mother figure in any way, only as Dad's girlfriend. It really hurts, but I don't think I'm pushy or anything. I just think of us as a blended family unit, whereas Joanna and Miley have said I'm just the woman their dad is dating, and Scarlett is nothing to them family-wise. I've tried to get them to involve her whenever they're doing stuff, and they outright refuse, so they only, as they put it, tolerate her. Martin has chewed me out about this before, claiming I'm trying to insert my daughter in his daughter's friendship groups and activities. And it greatly upsets Scarlett because she just wants to be included. She doesn't have a lot of friends, and I want Joanna and Miley to be her friends. You are the idiot. It sounds like they're trying. They're giving her thoughtful gifts and offering to help pay for you and Scarlett to go to Disney. That's pretty generous considering you're not married, and they only met Scarlett a few months ago. Frankly, you sound ungrateful and grabby, demanding they treat her like an instant grandchild and lavish gifts upon her. It's also rather telling that you say their grandchildren were spoiled rotten by their grandparents at Christmas. It reeks of jealousy and makes us wonder why you want someone to spoil your daughter rotten too. Yikes, they've only been together for less than 2 years, and they're not married or anything. OP is way too pushy about making this a family when it isn't, at least not yet. And the more OP pushes, the more pushback she will get. OP, go to therapy. You have abandonment issues and you're making things worse for your relationship and for your daughter. This awful woman only spent weeks knitting my daughter a blanket. Imagine an old lady hand knitting your child personalized stuff and you getting huffy. That's just mean. Also, a huge red flag that OP has a problem with her boyfriend and ex-wife having a great co-parenting relationship and forcing girls to be friends. And instead of working to improve her daughter's life, she's money-grubbing on a man hoping she can snag him as future daddy ATM instead. Geez, I don't think any of this matters because she's getting dumped soon. My son is a young teen but looks quite a bit older. Both my wife and I are tall, but he's set to pass me since he's 5'10" and well built. He's a great kid and I've never suspected him of saying or doing anything bad. We have a big yard and garden, and he'll go out there to read or just mess around. Now, our neighbour's yard is about 100 feet away and there are these little patches of trees between us, but we don't have fences so you can see into each other's yards. We don't really talk or know each other, but he's got 2 daughters a bit younger than my son. The other week, the neighbour said my son is making his daughters uncomfortable. I asked if he did anything and he said no, not like that. It's just he sort of intimidates them by hanging around the yard. I talked with my son and he confirmed he never even looked in that direction. He never talked to them or even heard or saw them being uncomfortable. So I had a talk with my son earlier than I expected. I told him that sometimes people are going to be uncomfortable around him. That isn't his fault or their fault. We just need to respect other people and make sure we aren't imposing ourselves on others. I get it, and I'm a big guy. I always have to cross the street because women will speed up when they see me, which I completely understand. Heck, I even tried to stay in more to avoid that. So I told my son that I wasn't mad, but he probably shouldn't linger out in the yard alone anymore. He was upset, but understood. My wife is furious. She said I should have talked to her first, and she's right on that front, and that our son hasn't done anything. I get that, but still, I don't think he should be in the yard if he's making other people uncomfortable. You are the idiot. Your son can't stand in his own yard because he's tall and male? That's ridiculous. Your neighbour's issues are their issues, not your son's issues. You're teaching him to be ashamed of who he is because he might make others uncomfortable. I guess black kids, Asian kids, Hispanic kids, gay kids, trans kids, overweight kids, very short kids, and disabled kids should also hide away because they might make someone uncomfortable. Your neighbour's a jerk teaching his daughters BS. You should leash and muzzle him when you let him out in the yard to play. That'll help the neighbours feel more comfortable. Their discomfort sounds like a them problem. He's not on their property or in a public space. Tell them to put up a privacy fence and leave you alone if they feel so strongly about it. Yeah, I feel sorry for OP's son because he's probably being made to feel like he's trapped inside for no real reason. Simply existing in your own yard, no less, is not imposing yourself on people, for goodness sake. The neighbour can build a fence if they have issues with their neighbours using their own yard. It sounds like OP has some internalised misandry. He might benefit from talking to a therapist. When I, 27 male, was a kid, I had a traumatic experience and was in an accident while on the school bus which a lady drove. Since then, I've always had a phobia of being a passenger in a vehicle driven by a woman. I know it's irrational, the woman driving didn't even cause that accident, a male driver in the truck did. My mom didn't drive, and even when my older sister learned to drive, I refused to drive with her even though my other siblings did. I have my license but not a car, and when I take public transit, I also take the next bus if a woman is driving. This is a phobia, and I don't think women shouldn't drive or anything. Recently, my girlfriend and I moved in together and she has a car. She's really upset with me as whenever we go out together, I insist on driving her car. She says it feels like I'm misogynistic when it's just a phobia. I said I would be okay taking public transit and she could drive her car and we could travel separately, but she thinks this is not a solution and that I should get over it. Am I the idiot here? It's not like I'm telling her she cannot drive, and I apply this rule to everyone even when it inconveniences me. I told her she was free to ask my family about my past. You are the idiot for not getting therapy to address this issue. You're only hurting yourself by not addressing this. If you have a daughter, will you refuse to teach her how to drive? If you and your girlfriend get married and you're ill or hurt, she can't drive you? Or when the ambulance driver is a woman, you're harming yourself and you're also hurting the women around you. Having an irrational phobia is okay, but you can get help. So you still get on a bus despite being in a bus accident. You don't blame the bus even though without the bus there would have been no accident. You blame the woman, which is very interesting. You've had about 20 years to get treatment and therapy for that. At this point, you're just being sexist. It's misogynistic to demand to drive a woman's car because you don't trust her driving. A man caused the accident years ago, but because a woman was driving the school bus, you're now blaming women for being bad drivers? Dude, if that's not misogyny, I don't know what is. So, instead of dealing with your problems, you've resorted to blatant sexism. Plus, you don't even have a car, but you put down your girlfriend's driving? You are the idiot. Be better.